And they never stop.
What was we doing? Oh, we
The
recorded.
intro.
Okay.
The literal intro.
The
That's it.
beginning.
We're trying to start a podcast here. Doing a podcast. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, we're podcasting.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Rich by Monday podcast. I'm your host, Jared Wilkins, aka the Google Grad.
And I'm Dorrance Creighton.
And this is
welcome back.
Episode 17. 17.
Right. 17 episodes. Okay. Maybe we have another check-in on episode 20.
As far as what you mean?
Like on how you feel about now we're at 20 when the first podcast was I don't want to start a podcast or I don't want a podcast.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
I forget when we did the last check-in. I felt like it was like around 10.
Well, I've kind of been doing it like every 5. So we got to 10, and then I think 15 we might have did like a, how's it going?
Like an update.
Yeah. They're all benchmarks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, we got some house rules. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube and all that good stuff, because we need more people to see us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, share us with people. Don't be stingy.
So what's been going on? I mean, everybody's gonna wonder why we've been gone a week. So what the hell has happened in this last week that we got to talk about?
Man, it's a blur. It's a complete blur for me. Just working. And I think usually we have our shootings on one day. And then I think once we usually have them planned for one day. And it seems like once they get pushed back for whatever reason, it seems like it's just always hard to like, make them a break again, like in the schedule.
Yeah.
They don't know what the break schedule is.
As long as it comes on Monday, everybody is okay.
Right. Yeah. So.
Well, I think the last episode, we were talking about health and all that, and I was on the cleanse, which I'm off now. I'm off the cleanse. So I did my 10 days. It was cool. I think maybe because it had been a while since I had done it. It was a little bit like, it was a little harder than I would have normally thought.
Right. I can
really,
tell your hair is more luxurious.
Yeah, the skin and the hair, the hairline is, you know what I mean? Like it definitely helps. The skin is all exfoliated.
Ain't number wave grease. You're like, yeah, this detox working.
No, but I mean, it definitely, like, if you make it, I think if you make it to like day 8, you get to the point of like, all right, I'm fine.
Right.
But it was all them days.
I've come far enough.
All them days before then, it was kind of tough. Like I remember I was making I had made some spaghetti, but Jada likes the rigatoni noodles, so like the bigger ones,
right?
And so I had to make some for her, you know what I mean? And of course, like, one of the greatest things about being a parent is, like, one, like, testing your kids' food, and then 2, eating their leftovers or what they didn't finish, right? So
garbage disposal.
Yeah, so I remember I was making her a plate, and for whatever reason, like, that day was bad for me, and so, like, I was making her plate, and I had to bite a noodle. I bit the noodle. I didn't eat it. I just bit it. Like, I just want to feel like.
Yeah, let's talk about something else. This is why you don't do a cleanse.
That's wild. But I had to, man. I had to bite the noodle, man.
Right.
Pause. I had to bite the noodle. And I was fine after that. But
Right.
after that it was like, you know what?
After
I'm
you
not
got your
missing much.
fix, the fix is
Yeah, I'm
out
like
the way.
I ain't missing much. Um,
Yeah.
so I did that, and then I think the next day, like the day after the last day, I just made some tacos. I had one of the tacos like the whole time, so I made tacos.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it definitely helped, man. You feel better. A lot of the pain I was having kind of
Mm-hmm.
went away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you just feel better. Honestly, you feel better. Like you have a little bit more energy.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So
yeah.
what's the next play from here after the cleanse?
Well, for me, the cleanse is like the foundation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like, okay, if I wanna take my health, in a different direction, then I have to have a foundation. So the cleanse
Mm-hmm.
kind of puts you in a spot where, okay, let me do this and get rid of as much as like the unnecessary toxins and all that as I can,
Mm-hmm.
and then adapt to a new diet.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like okay, if I'm only gonna eat a certain thing, let me get all the extra stuff out the way first,
Mm-hmm.
and then and build on top of whatever the new plan is.
Right.
So so that was part of it. And then like I said, I got a membership at LA Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Um and there's some programs that I do want to look at. Like Joey sent me a program to do that he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um but it's one of them things where like you go so long without like you go so long without being like in the gym or just being active on that level. Like not like normal active, but just like
Yeah.
active on that level. That as you get older, you don't realize like how it's working against you.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to just go start a program, it probably wouldn't work.
No, why?
Just from the amount, like the time away
Mm-hmm.
from doing those types of activities. Like to go for me, because I know me, right? So for me to just go like 100%, like I would want to go
Mm-hmm.
like super hard by the second or third day, I'd be burned out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I got to build up to that. Kind of like what we did, you know, back then when we would go work out and stuff. It was like we just started going to the gym a little bit, little by little.
Yeah.
And as we got more acclimated and stuff, it was like you start added in different exercises, different programs.
Mm-hmm. I
So
think that's what most people go wrong is trying to go hard 100%. Like I'm going to do 2 hours in the gym. You just started.
yeah,
It's
see,
like
that's me.
I
That's
think I
me.
think the main thing is working on consistency of doing it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just doing 100 push-ups, at home or some sit-ups or some squats. It's more about being consistent in what you're doing rather than how long you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at least for me, it's just more like making it a part of your life. You know,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like getting up and brushing your teeth. You would never get up and start your day without brushing your teeth.
Oh, I hope not.
You know, it's like it's part of your day now. So um, that's when you make working out like your routine. It's part of your daily routine.
Mm-hmm.
And once you can get there, you're good. Um, where I don't have to feel like a failure because I wasn't doing an hour and a half in the gym or 2 hours in the gym or I didn't do my full workout. Um, I think that's where we fall off too, where it's like, oh, I don't have time to do an hour and a half, 2 hours, so I'll just do it tomorrow. It's like,
Yeah, no,
okay, well,
it's
you got
definitely
time to
me.
do 10 minutes, get on the ground, do some push-ups, or it's like I can't get to the gym. It's like, well, let's work on some calisthenics. We still keep your body moving,
Mm-hmm.
and that's still a day you worked out. It's better than being sedentary all day, and then go on to the next day, and the next week, and then you just fell off for 3 weeks, and now in your mind it's like I have to start all the way back over.
Mm-hmm.
You can be going to the gym for 6 months, be off 3 weeks, and feel like you have to start over. I don't know that the psychology in that can really mess you up.
I think it's I think it's until you get in the groove. Like until you get in the groove, the weekend could feel that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like until you just get into a groove of like, okay, this is what I do. Because even when I first started, like right before the pandemic, like I would just go run a mile in the morning. Like
Mm-hmm.
even doing that after like the first like I say after the first 2 weeks of doing that, it was just it was like clockwork. Like I beat the alarm, I'm out the door, back home 6:30. Get dressed, blah blah blah, go to the office, and then they shut everything down, and we're by our house. They were actually like writing tickets and stuff and arresting people for being outside, like without a mask. And so I'm like, I'm already like, it's already dark outside in the morning. I already have a hoodie on and some sweats, and I got a mask and a do-rag. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to be running around like, and people be going to work and I'm running like in the street and the sidewalks and they walk into their car. I don't want nobody just swing on me with a bat or something just because I'm trying to be healthy.
Well,
so that was before we had the Peloton. So I'm doing that. And then I was like, well, I'll just wait a minute. Like I'll wait a minute until like it's cool outside. And that never happened.
Yeah, consistency. That's where I'm at. What I'm after. Consistency. Dedication to the mission.
That's my plans. Really, it's just like to just try and take it slow, and then like build myself back into like the routine of whatever it is that it'll ultimately become. But I definitely need to have. I need to work my way into that. Like I'm not where I was back then.
Yeah, you can't compare yourself to your old self.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny because like your old self is your younger self.
Yeah. In some ways, they better. In some ways, they're not.
I don't know why that sounded so like deep. I don't know why that's like...
You like?
I don't know. I don't know why they sounded so profound. Some ways they not. Like, right.
Yeah. Hey,
so
plain and simple.
Yeah. So outside of that, man, we got new NBA champs. The Buccaneers. Not the Buccaneers. I'm stupid. The Buccaneers, the Milwaukee Bucks won the first championship since like the 70s.
Yeah.
And Giannis was taking shots at KD and Harden and all them for the super team thing. But he said something actually on one of the interviews right before it might have been game like 5. I think they only played 6 games. So this might have been like game 4 or 5. And I think it was 5 because they were up. And the reporter asked him, like, how do you remain so humble or something like that? And he said, I'm gonna send it to you. But he said something to the likes of like, well, your ego, if you focus on your past, that's your ego. Like you're protecting who you already are. Like
who you were.
Who you already were.
Right.
And then like projecting that on your future, pretty much. And he was like, if you focus on the future, like that's your pride. Right. And he was like, if you're in the present, he said he stays in the present basically. Because he's like, if you're in the present, like you're in between those two. I forgot exactly what he said, but the way he said it was way more like
right. Well, we kind of just talked about that.
Yeah, he said being in the present is like humility. Like being humble and taking on the moment, not focusing on the past and trying to defend who you were and not looking forward, trying to defend who you think you'll be. Like I just focus on the present and stay humble. And I think the only reason why, for someone like him, I think the only reason why he's able to do and say those kinds of things and feel that way is because he's not from America.
Why do you think that's different?
Because if you look at a guy like LeBron, right? LeBron is the face of the NBA. And he, in many ways, he won championships because he needed to. Because he knew what it meant to to his overall like brand and legacy. As much as he doesn't say it doesn't matter about none of that, he knew that he couldn't stay in Cleveland and not win.
Right.
Even if
like the hype was a flop.
Even if it was his fault, he knew that he couldn't stay there and not win. So he can go somewhere else, get the ring, so then nobody can say you don't have them.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, those kinds of things. Like thinking about it that way. Whereas Giannis is just like, man, I'm in Milwaukee. Like I'm hanging
Mm-hmm.
out. I like
Mm-hmm.
Milwaukee.
Right.
I don't want to go nowhere else. It's not my job to tell somebody to come play with me. We got a GM.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm gonna go out here and he proved that in the game. And that's the thing that I didn't see the game, but just knowing the stat, like I saw the stat sheet and I saw the highlights. That's the thing that I feel separates somebody like LeBron from like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. And
Mm-hmm.
Giannis did a similar thing. So this is a closeout game. He hasn't played great all series, and then he goes and plays amazing because he refuses to lose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's like, I'm doing this. Like I'm winning. So he scores 52 points, makes like 16 or 17 free throws.
Mm-hmm.
Like he played amazing. Shot the ball like 60%. You know,
Right.
he's turning around jumpers, dunking on people, blocking shots, rebounds,
Mm-hmm.
and he just refused to go home.
Yeah. Like all around game.
Yeah, he just refused. He's like, I'm not going home. I'm doing what it takes to finish the mission.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not on nobody else. They look to me. I'm the captain, right? I'm the captain now. So
Right.
you know, so he kind of took that load on his shoulders, and he won in the game.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting how a team sport like basketball always comes down to, or seems to come down to, like one person's individual performance um, in a team sport. Um, so in terms of like the building a team or the building of a super team, do you think it's any benefit to having, building a super team, or the synergy that comes from that? Not just in basketball, but I think just in normal life, like in business,
Well,
where
I don't
where
think it
you
would
you're
happen
able
in
to
business
delegate.
though. I don't think it would happen in business because the basketball players, even though they make hundreds of millions of dollars, they're employees,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they're looking at the people, the owners, and saying, y'all, you guys aren't giving us our fair cut. Y'all got billions of dollars,
Right.
so we're gonna do what we have to do to look out for us. They
Mm-hmm.
have a union. You know what I mean? Like they're still employees. In business is different. Like Apple and Microsoft would never be like, oh, let's come together and make the Apple,
Right.
AppleSoft. Like, nope, they would never do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's
Well,
those are
not so much, not so much in terms of like business to business, but if you're in the same business, like a Microsoft or a
mhm.
Google or Apple, um, them recruiting the best talent to come work for them.
Oh yeah,
I
that
think I think
happens.
there's a huge synergy that comes from that, and I think it's a benefit for that. I know people always get on people for leaving teams and creating super teams, but I think there's a huge thing that has to be said from uh, recruiting talent to complete the mission. Um, in other words, I don't think more glory or more success comes from the story of I'm running my business and I did it all by myself. And I
Um,
don't think it makes anybody less successful. Let's say I go out and I recruit, three superstars
mhm.
to work for the business, increases profits, increases success. Um, I don't care that the success came from my recruitment efforts, as opposed to if I did it by myself. Right. So
Mhm.
that's a smaller um, comparison, or I guess a different comparison, but
No, they're
I
similar.
think
They're
there's there's
similar. They're
there's
similar.
there's a there's a benefit to doing that. And
Mhm.
I don't know, I guess maybe in sports or in competition, it seems like that's unfair. But life is unfair, business is unfair. So I think, if you recruit, star players, no matter in business or in sports, and you win, I think that's the ultimate goal. Like the ultimate goal is to win, to be successful.
Yeah.
So I just push back on the narrative of, hey, he did it like it was supposed to be done, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how it's supposed to be done is to win, period. Full stop.
Um, I think it just comes down to parity. Like that is true. All that is true. I think it just comes down to like because that stuff only really applies to a handful of people and a handful of teams. So
Mm-hmm.
if we're gonna have all the good players on 3 teams, why do we have 32 teams?
Right. You can
So
still,
you know what I mean?
if we have all the talent going to Google and Facebook and Apple, why do we have XYZ companies?
Well, the thing is though, you in many of those companies you never get to see because they get
Yeah.
bought out beforehand.
Yeah, you never do.
Because Apple would just say, "Listen, you can take the offer for us to buy you out, or we'll just reverse engineer whatever it is you make."
Yeah, we'll make the same thing.
Yeah, they got the money. They got $90 billion in free cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
It's like, do you say they're unfair or they didn't do it right?
some people do. A lot of people do. A lot of people think that's unfair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I understand the similarities, I think it just comes down to it's hard to understand how these guys like know each other because they came up together in the AAU circuits and stuff.
Right.
So them playing on the same team isn't foreign to them. It's foreign to us.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're accustomed to having new teammates every other week at some tournament.
Right.
You know, and then so now it's like, oh well, we watched 4 generations of you get drafted here, and the Celtics and the Lakers have a rival, or the Bulls and the Pistons have a rivalry, or whatever. And into
Mm-hmm.
now, none of that even matters
Yeah.
because they can play for the
It's a
Pistons today, and then now let's just go
right.
to the Bulls and play, right? Like where you play doesn't matter, and it's more so about like even the Lakers just got Russell Westbrook, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a meeting that took place between LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that type of information shouldn't be known. It shouldn't be made public.
Right. Right. I mean, it's likely that could have happened in the past too, but everything is just so on blast.
Yeah.
We know everything about everything.
But it
But
is likely that it wouldn't happen on certain levels. It's likely that it wouldn't happen that way because these guys didn't hear about each other until they had to face each other.
mm-hmm.
Like the first time like Kevin Garnett met Kobe Bryant and vice versa was like in competition.
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, we stayed in a hotel at a tournament for so many like 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
So they all know each other. They're
Right.
accustomed to that. It's just it's a different era. And if you've been a follower of sports, it just doesn't feel natural when you
Because it's
have
different. No one
yeah,
likes to change.
it doesn't feel natural where
Mm-hmm.
there's no need for a GM. Like I kind of be feeling like why do they even need contracts longer than a year?
Mm-hmm.
If everybody is gonna just jump around, give everybody 1 year contracts
Right. Right.
and let free agency just start every year.
Just make them independent contractors. They can just pull up to any practice anytime.
Yeah,
Well,
they have
things
every
change.
year. You know,
Things change. I think that's more a sports fan thing where people get caught up on the nostalgia of how they used to be fans of
yeah. I
teams, and
mean,
now they have to just
baseball is like
adapt.
that though. Because
Yeah.
but doing that doesn't guarantee you win. Obviously, the
Yeah.
Nets didn't win, but
Mm-hmm.
baseball is like that. I mean, whoever has the most money will just buy out all the players. But again, that
Right.
doesn't mean they win,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think in this case specifically, it was just like I was telling you, him and James Harden got beef. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it was more so along the lines of like taking shots at them, like, oh, y'all tried to cheat the system,
Yeah. Of course.
and we still beat you, and I won, even though you
Right.
said I suck.
Right.
You said all I do is dunk. Well, I dunked to a championship.
This is basketball. I dunk. Give me the ball. I'm gonna dunk it.
So but that I don't know, man. it kind of makes me think about, like, I was reading an article about this woman
Mm,
who, she's into fashion, and I can't remember the brand, but she was looking at a sweater, or she wanted to buy a sweater, and it was like $300,
mm,
and she just couldn't bring herself to pay for it, and she didn't understand why it cost $300. So she decides to make the same like style of sweater, but offer it for like $200 more. I mean,
okay.
$200 less.
Mm,
And she got a ton of orders, right? But she didn't make no money. And I think by the second or third week, she was like bankrupt,
wow.
because she didn't realize how much time had to go into making the sweaters
Mm-hmm.
on top of the cost of materials.
So couldn't actually fulfill the orders. Um, I don't know why people won't think about that in the beginning. They just like people are gonna buy. Don't think about the whole back office.
um,
Retail is hard though, but and people just have to remember to click the link in our bio once the Rich by Monday T-shirts come out.
oh
I
yeah,
think that's the most important thing.
yeah. It's a prototype, but they ready. They ready. Don't trip.
uh, yeah, but retail's hard. Um, was it a luxury item?
Yeah, it was I don't know if it was Gucci or something, but it was like along the lines
Yeah,
of that, like a higher end fashion sweater. And
right.
like most people, they feel like, most people feel like what they pay for isn't worth it. They feel like they're just
Mm-hmm.
getting over it because it's the name. You just pay for that for blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I applaud her for actually like taking the steps to try and recreate it. In a more affordable version of it.
Right.
But there's a lesson there. You know what I mean? Like it's not just, in many cases that's not what's going on. Because even
Mm-hmm.
even with clothes, like if you make clothes, especially high end clothes, those are loss leaders.
Mm-hmm.
They lose money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're someone who's just looking at it and you're like, I hate the big C word, capitalism. I hate
Mm-hmm.
capitalism, and these guys are just gouging us, and rich people suck, and all that. And you're like, I could do it better than you, and then you go broke. Like, what was the point? It's a
Mm-hmm.
learning experience, though.
Yeah.
You know. So even what's his name just sold his business to LVMH, to Louis Vuitton. Virgil Abloh.
Mm-hmm.
He just sold 60% of Off White to LVMH. Now, if he, because again, we celebrate people, right? A lot of what gets marketed to us culturally and within our community, what's get marketed to us, and what we're told to um, celebrate and champion is just people who just make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're doing a good enough cause for the culture by just being a person of color and making money. Like that's what this is all about. Doesn't matter
Right.
how they make it. This is for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see a guy like Virgil, who's a designer of a high end fashion brand, even though it's not high end, but a high end fashion brand, and he has to sell the majority of his business to LVMH.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it was about the culture and celebrating him because he's black wealth, generational wealth, and all that, why would he sell it to LVMH?
Mm. I don't know. Go off to his own other venture that benefits
No,
him.
that's what it is. We understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get that. What I'm saying, this is what I said that to say the blind celebration of people just because they have things, or they look like they're in certain positions
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Like, clothes on that level isn't profitable. He probably made more money from licensing or collabs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Doing the
Yeah.
collabs with Nike and stuff like that,
I
pop-up
think he did one
shops.
like with Kanye, something like that.
Well, he's
Or he used to design for Kanye.
yeah, he's Kanye's. I don't know the whole story. I just know he's
Yeah.
Kanye's boy, and Louis
Yeah.
Vuitton didn't want to mess with Ye, so they hired Virgil.
Mm.
But Virgil became the creative director at Louis Vuitton,
Mm.
and so he was doing he started off doing like Pyrex clothes. Like he used to have the shorts that said Pyrex
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And then it transformed into Off-White, which became really, really popular.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you got a $1,500 t-shirt. Like there's only so many of those you can sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So
I wonder if people are just celebrating the fact that someone looks like them is successful and they feel like they can do the same thing. So in a way they're kind of celebrating their delayed success by looking at them, or if they really celebrating uh, this person.
I think it's both. I think it depends on who you are as like an observer. But I do
Right,
think it's
right.
both. I think there are some people who, like, if I was into fashion, it's just like LeBron, right? Or LeBron grossing, being the first NBA player to gross $1 billion over the span of his career.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was someone who was looking to go to the NBA and then pursue opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to that extent, that would be inspirational,
Right,
right?
right.
It'd be like, okay, I see what's possible. Even if I get 20% of that,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? That's still amazing. So
Mm.
if you into fashion, then I can see how, like, okay, well, or if I was in fashion, at least I'd say, oh, that's dope. He built a business that he probably didn't intend to take that far, and they
Right,
offered him a bunch of money for it, and now he can go do whatever else he wants.
right.
You know,
It's just interesting that the celebration of other success is still so self-centered around what your personal success could be.
yeah, it's
It's
true.
still like not authentic at all.
That's true.
It's like I like that person is winning because I believe now that I can win.
I mean, I don't know. I think it varies. I think it's hard when identity comes into play. I think that'll always be the case because people are looking out in the world and on the internet for themselves.
Right.
So if they see traces of themselves in other people, like I think naturally you'll kind of attach yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I don't know. I do think a lot of people genuinely like to see other people do well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, just when it comes to identity, I think that's where the okay, I can do that too type thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's mostly everyone.
yeah, because I could look at Bezos and say, "Yo, he's amazing,"
Mm-hmm.
but nobody else feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody hates him.
It's something about when you everyone it's like
Everybody hates him.
people want you to be successful so they can see themselves in you. But once you get too successful, I don't know what that benchmark is. It must be, we for sure know it's a billion. Once you get to like a certain benchmark, it totally flips and it's like, oh no, now you're too successful. And maybe because people can, maybe they might not be able to see themselves being a billionaire themselves. It was like,
That
nah,
might be, yeah.
I'm not on this road anymore. I don't, no, you're too ambitious.
Well,
Your
I
ambitions
think
is way, way further than mine.
at that point, I think it's beyond. There's been so much there's been so many political like narratives and political efforts to skew like people's thoughts
Mm-hmm.
on that type of stuff to the point where people don't even believe a guy like him should exist.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the, the basis is I can't see myself in this person.
Well, is that what it is, or is it you only get there if you cheated me?
It can be both. Well, that's part of someone's identity. I wouldn't have done it that way. I
They
wouldn't
don't
have
even
gotten
know what he
successful that
did.
way.
They don't even know what he did.
I would pay workers more. I got so much money, I would do this. The opinion is based on that person, the observer, and what they would do.
I think that's different though.
That's like the first fallacy.
I think that's different than what we were talking about because it's in the same vein, but I think it's different because you're breaking down you're breaking down what a person is doing that is working
Mm-hmm.
and trying to like you know invalidate it.
Right.
It's like, oh, this person did this. It's like, man, nah, he ain't doing nothing. It's cheating. Like
Yeah, he did something.
you know what I mean? Like
Something went wrong.
you're doing something to make it, to bring it, to devalue it pretty
Yeah.
much. Whereas like what we were talking about earlier is just like, oh, he's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
I can or can't see myself doing,
Yeah.
becoming something like that. I would never be that because he's evil.
Yeah. And I'm not evil, and I wouldn't. It's just old school projection. You projecting what you would do on this other person. Jeff Bezos is a funny person though. Do you see what he
He's
said
hilarious.
after he got off the after he got off the spaceship in
No.
like a press conference? He was like,
Uh-uh.
I seen like a short clip. He was like, I just want to thank everyone for all your efforts and making this possible. Without the workers and the people who buy things, this would have never happened. So thank you. He's basically telling people who bought things like I wouldn't have been able to do this unless you bought things from
Unless you bought
Amazon.
something. No, but
Thank you.
that's a fact.
He just
That's,
laughed. I was like, why he did? That's one of them things where you don't say out loud.
but why not?
But he was
Like,
like,
I don't
but
know.
it's exactly what it is. Thank
Why
you
we can't
guys.
tell the
I made it
truth,
to
man?
space, and I would have never done this without the
Without
workers who
you.
work for me and the people who buy my products or purchase from
Listen,
Amazon.
man. I would rather send Jeff Bezos to space than to get
And give up 2 day free shipping.
no, well, that too. But I'd rather send him to space than to get little baby a new chain. Like it's the same thing. It's just you talking about self-serving, like you know what I'm saying? Like it's the same
Right.
thing. Like I'd rather send him to space that something we can actually use. Maybe not now,
Mm-hmm.
but they can develop a program that can actually benefit us as humans than to also take the same money and invest it in
Mm-hmm.
someone's art so they can buy a chain or some
Right.
diamonds.
Right.
And you mad at this guy? But the
But
other guy is wearing your money on his neck and calling you broke.
yeah.
But we celebrate them. Like, those are people we celebrate.
Mm-hmm. Said thank you. Thank you for buying from Amazon. Maybe that's where the real activism comes in. It's like I don't like him, but I'm also not giving up this 2 day free shipping. And I like when I order things that come directly to me. Um, it's kind of like getting a gift twice. You get like a dopamine shot from ordering it, like, yeah, my order's coming in. Then 2 days later, when you forget, like, yeah, it's like giving yourself a gift. It's already wrapped. You go to the mailbox and you open it. It's like a whole nother dopamine shot.
It's adult gifts.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I forgot about this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I understand where it comes from. I think if I just wish people understood more, and then you would realize like the hate just needs to be directed in other places. Like,
Mm,
you know what I'm saying? Because he's not doing anything illegal. He's literally following the rules. He's not doing anything illegal that I know of. I'll say
mm-hmm,
that. Um, as far as I know, based on auditors and all the other stuff, he's doing everything he's supposed to do.
mm-hmm,
If they want to talk about taxes and all that, that's a different story. He's not going to pay taxes the same way as you. Like people who earn money differently pay taxes differently.
mm-hmm.
He doesn't. If he doesn't earn any money, why would he pay taxes? His money is in selling things. He sells equity and then he makes money. He's not clocking in and making 1,000 calls and picking up his paycheck like thanks boss and then going home. Like
Yeah.
that's not what he's doing. So why would I expect him to earn the same way? And he has to pay tax for every single employee. If they deduct, if you look on your paycheck, if you have a job, you look on your paycheck, you have to take out FICA and all the all the benefits and everything that comes out of your check. He pays half of that.
Mm-hmm.
Half the company pays for half.
Yeah, employee tax.
So he's paying your taxes. He's paying your taxes. He's paying taxes for every single employee he has.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Every single employee. And then if he sells a bunch of shares, now he has a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like you should feel sorry for him. He's paid. It's
Yeah.
just, it's the same. It's just all scalability. I could do the same thing making 100,000 that he could do making 100 billion. The rules are the same. Margins are greater, but the rules are the same. Because if it weren't, you'd be bankrupt, like the girl who tried to make cheaper sweaters.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I make $100,000 in revenue, and then I'm allowed to deduct my expenses off of that revenue, then I'll only pay taxes on what's left over. Right? But if I make 100,000 in revenue and there's no deductions because everybody should pay full tax, even the money you use to invest or create things, if I don't pay taxes on my 30, 40, 50%, or if I do now, right, then I'll pay taxes on a full 100,000. Well, how am I going to pay that? Because I spent the money in the company. I don't have that money. And like the scalability to a company that's worth $1 trillion, like it's the same. The expenses is everything's the same. It's just up to scale. So he'll have hundreds of billions of dollars in expenses. You know what I'm saying? Like that. It's the same. I don't understand why it's so hard to understand that. And it's like, oh, billionaires don't pay tax. No, they don't get a check. They don't get a check. You get a check. They don't. Is that simple? I think Warren Buffett makes $1 a year or something like that.
Yeah, on paper. This is all on paper.
You know what I mean? Like,
because the books can be cooked.
You run a business. If you make money and you spend money, you will deduct. You will lessen your taxable obligation. It's very, very simple. I can't make 100 grand and spend 80 and then still pay taxes on 100. I'll be bankrupt. I need the deductions to only pay taxes on 20,000 or whatever, however it works out, but something along those lines. I don't know, man. That type of stuff is just funny to me. Like nobody would give their lottery money back. You know, you won a lotto, bro. Nobody's giving that money back. But millionaires and billionaires shouldn't exist. I also don't think people understand what a millionaire is. Like there's some evil group of people who just like hoard money and make decisions about life.
Sit down smoking cigars. Like, how are we gonna mess these people over this week?
If it was that easy, there'd be a lot more billionaires and trillionaires. We would have trillionaires. If it was so easy to just sit in the room and be like, "What we doing today? What's on the agenda for?"
Right.
You'd be able to take
what's on the capitalism agenda?
You'd be able to take way more advantage of that. I don't know, man. I didn't mean to go on a rant, but
yeah, I think the only thing you can do is make more money in the U.S. That's just like there's nothing else you can do. And maybe it's just how it is because we grew up here.
Well, no, it wasn't always that way though. Like there was a point in time where people would mind their business. Why does it matter if he's a billionaire or if anybody's? Why does it matter? Like it's nice to know.
You can see it now.
I guess
you can see it. I don't want to see you out here with your billions.
But why not?
Getting updates about your billions.
Everybody I know who's flashing anything on that you can see, they're not millionaires or billionaires.
Yeah. It'd be nice if we just didn't see what other people did. It's called the mind your damn business internet. You just got a portal just to your life. Like, what am I doing today? It sucks opening up Instagram and seeing what everybody else doing, what they're projecting today.
If you don't, I would say it sucks if you don't have a clue about certain things.
Well, for me, like I don't care because I know like 99% of it's fake.
Yeah, it's fake.
I know how it goes. But for the average day person, it's just on the job and they're on a lunch break and they eat and they scrolling. They're like, man, people out here getting money. It's like, no, people out here taking nice pictures, doing
really nice pictures, and like really
nice content. Like, yeah, they're very great at that. I would keep it at that.
You know, it's funny.
It's a fantasy world.
So I was on YouTube like always, just going down a rabbit hole, and I stumbled across a video, which was like it had a snippet of another podcast, but the
Mm-hmm.
podcast was about like the feds and how they're tracking the PPP
Mm-hmm.
loans,
Mm.
right? So they're telling you this like on the
Right.
podcast, like this is what's
Uh-huh.
going on, this is how we're tracking them, this is how they're going to get caught, this is
Mm-hmm.
this is what can happen if they do get caught. um
Yep.
and I was just laughing because what I often see is like, okay, everybody's upset, or they weren't upset when um rich people were still in loans. It's only
Mm-hmm.
because black and brown people are still in loans. And
Mm-hmm.
the funny thing is though, everyone who's been indicted so far have been people who own businesses and were rich.
Mm.
There's only one case that I know of that I've followed. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but there's only
Right.
one case that I know of where someone was indicted for less than 50 grand.
Mm.
And it was probably because he did something so ridiculous with the money, they just had to throw him in jail.
It's like he bought a lunar jet just to put a down
Like
payment
just,
down.
but
I'll come back with the rest, three
everyone
hundred thousand.
everyone else who's been indicted, because the larger loans are the ones that trigger an audit immediately.
Right.
So if you
Mm-hmm.
got a loan above a certain dollar amount, like in the, I think it's like 200,000, but if you're up in the millions, they're going to watch you specifically. Like,
Right.
you got $2-3 million in PPP funds. They're going to make sure to audit your loan.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the people who all got indicted.
Yeah. It makes sense.
So again, because we hate people who have money or whatever, unless they rap. But
Mm-hmm.
where does that narrative come from of, oh, they only throwing us in jail? Like, where does where
Um,
does that where does that come from?
I don't know. They ask.
I'm I,
I
I'm
think
just
it's just so easy just to, I don't know, maybe it's a deflection. Maybe it's just a classic deflection. I know this happened over here, but what about them?
yeah,
It's like, yeah, I stole your TV, but like, look, they stole your car.
yeah. Like, they've been stealing your car for 400
Like, come
years.
on. you
This is
know,
just the first time for me.
it's
Um,
like this is little. This is my little crime. They got big crimes over here. I think if we're going to use that, I think we have to decide if right is right and just wrong is wrong. And then if it's wrong, it's blanketed across all spectrums. But I
yeah,
think many times we like to have different spectrums of what's right and wrong. So it's like, this is my little wrong, but look at all the wrong they doing. And I don't think you can have it both that way, or you can have
no,
it both ways, obviously. But people, they'll try to reduce their wrong as something you can sweep under the rug, or a little white lie, and point at the larger wrong. And at the end of the day, it's just stupid. But
yeah.
they'll continue to do it. They'll continue to do it.
I
That
mean, I,
argument will
I
always be a thing.
I understand the thought process, like just because of just things that happened in this country in the past. Like I understand
Yeah.
like how a person can arrive at that kind of point. But when the
Mm-hmm.
information is publicly available, like none of this stuff is being made up. Like every person who got a loan, their name is on the internet
Mm-hmm.
with their
Yeah.
business name, their address, and how much money they got.
You're probably thinking that most people are just like, diligent researchers, eh, to back up their comments with actual, data and proof. And
Why else?
that's
I don't
just
know.
not what the internet is.
No,
It's just
you're
not
right.
what the internet
You're
is.
right.
It's not how people are. Um, People just throw out an opinion. They just open their phone, throw out an opinion, and then put their phone on and go on about their day.
You know what? And
While
it's things.
people who are thinkers, or um, people who actually want to think things out all the way, are sitting here fact checking the internet when they can be doing something else. you
Yeah, no,
know,
it's true.
it's crazy.
I don't know, man. I feel like that's lazy. I feel like it's lazy and it's dangerous. And maybe because of how we grew up, just knowing that you can't just come out here and say something out the side of your neck and not face consequences.
Mm,
Right. But the internet allows you to do that.
yeah,
Like to
I mean,
just come out
especially if
and be like,
something like opinion.
yeah, it's just like,
You can just go
hey,
in there and say something wild and just leave, just log out and be like,
that's
okay,
weird. I couldn't do that. I
I'm
want to
out.
though. I want to. Me and Vita was talking about that today. I was like, I wish I didn't care about anybody.
Mhm.
Because if you didn't
Right.
care, a certain way, you can rack up a lot of wins like that.
Yeah. I
It's,
think part of it is ego too. I want the world to bend to how I do things. You know, I wouldn't do things that way. You shouldn't do them that way. I think we get caught up in correcting people based on how we live and how they should live, how they should mirror it exactly.
mhm.
And we can really get into a rabbit hole of fact checking and telling people, hey, well, that's not right. This is how it goes. And I think ultimately it throws us off our personal mission. You know, we should be really sitting down thinking about what our next move is and what our next mission is,
Mm-hmm.
instead of being on the internet
Telling
trying
people
to,
to shut up and it's
fact check
wrong.
people.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's say you took an hour out of your day to do that, or another hour for it to just exist in your brain. Just all that time you didn't use to actually, put together the actual plan for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's the way I think of it, because I just, I can't do too many things at the same time. And if I'm going down that rabbit hole, I'm doing that, and most things aren't going to get done until I completely figured that out to completion. And
Yeah, I
lately, I just have
mean,
to be like, you know what? Nope, I'm not bringing it on.
that's
Literally
well,
tell myself, nope, I'm not bringing that on.
I don't know. I haven't grown to that point yet. Because I do a lot of things because I just genuinely want to know. So it's like
Right.
even going back to like the PPP thing, it's like, oh, um, this is how we're you know, pursuing people. These are the type of crimes they are.
Right.
These are the people who have lawsuits. Here's the information. Okay, well, let me
Mm-hmm.
read and see how these things are being handled.
Right. Right.
Because I want to know. It's not because I want
Yeah.
to know to tell other people they're wrong. I just want to know, like, because I think it's interesting.
Well, that's where your filter comes in.
You know.
Your filter might be okay with letting that in, but letting something else in, like trying to figure out, I don't know, why XYZ did this on the internet, may not be something that's going to sufficiently get through your filter.
Mm-hmm.
It's just picking. It's just picking. And I think that's the hardest part, especially with the internet. It's just so much information and material to sift through, and you have to really figure out what you don't want to bring in. It's hard though, especially when everyone you talk to is like, "Hey, did you see what happened on the internet?" I'm like, "Well, no, I didn't.
Yeah,
I'm
I
worried
mean, I'm
about
good
what
for
I'm
that.
doing."
I'm definitely
It's
depending on what.
almost like current events, you know.
Well, I
I
mean,
remember,
everything is curated now. So I mean, every like the things that are current events that would kind of check your radar, and they're delivered to your phone,
yeah,
like based on your personality.
I don't like that either. I do not like it. I don't like
I
the
you know
algorithm telling me what I
that's
want to
why
look at, and what I want to view.
like I recently understood why having multiple like social media accounts makes sense.
Right.
Because you'll have one like group of following, and that's for a
Mm-hmm.
specific thing. And so I didn't really get it until I started realizing the types of ads.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so if
Mm-hmm.
I'm on this page, then the types of ads that I get are the ones that like drive me crazy. Like, why am I
Yeah.
seeing this? This is stupid. And then I go to the other page, like it's the
Yeah.
engagement is different,
Yeah.
the followers are different. Like, so you're a part of like a different
Yeah.
circle.
It's a whole nother world.
Yeah.
Like you enter a whole nother portal that you're part of. And because I have a few accounts, I have like a outside account where I do all my outside stuff. And like you said, the ads on that is just all like outside camping, you know, biking, all that type of stuff. And then some of the other pages is completely different.
Hmm.
Business pages usually like business stuff. My personal page is it's a mix. It's a mix of stuff. But it's just I don't like it. I don't like how the algorithm just like based on what you like, or just who you following, they just
Hmm.
feed you what you might like.
It happens fast, like
Quick.
fast. And I mean,
Like, oh, you following this? Okay,
that's
this is
just
what you
like
like? Here you go. Here's more of it.
speaking of that, because it's like related but not. So because it's similar in execution, right? So if you didn't know, Robinhood just went public.
I knew they were working on it.
Okay, so they just went public the other day, like
Mm,
I think Wednesday or something,
mm-hmm.
and they offered Robinhood users or like pre-IPO access.
Okay.
Um, but anyway, so do you know? Like, okay, so let me say this: Robinhood is a disruptor.
Mm-hmm.
I like I like what they've done in terms of that by because in many ways there are a lot of people who would try to take like credit for like the influx in new investors,
Mm-hmm.
like social media gurus, whoever, right?
Right.
There's a bunch of people who feel like they created the lane for people to, you know, be in the market. The
Yeah.
reality is Robinhood.
Yeah. They made it easy.
Robinhood they made it so simple, so easy and they made it free,
Yep.
right?
That's
So
crazy.
yeah.
The free is like no barrier
So,
where you
well,
actually put up real money.
anytime. Well, I was reading through some of their like some of the documents on the filing, and I think they have something like 18 million accounts
Wow.
and somewhere around like 80 something $billion in capital, like in those accounts. Um, and I brought that up because, well, going back to what I was saying, they definitely disrupted things because they made it more accessible to bring people to the markets
Mm-hmm.
to where other platforms had to adapt,
Right.
right, and take on free trading and all that kind of stuff. But anytime a product is free, you're the product,
Mm-hmm.
right?
All your information and data.
So Facebook is free. We're not their customers. We are
Mm-hmm.
users,
Yeah.
but their customers are advertisers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So at Robinhood, we're not their customers. We are users. Their customers are hedge funds
Yeah.
and high frequency trading
Mm-hmm.
companies or whatever. So they do you know how they make money?
They basically sell the bulk of the orders to the hedge fund, right?
That's one way. So one way is they make money on interest on uninvested cash that sits in their accounts.
Okay.
So they make income off of interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they offer a subscription plan called Robinhood Gold,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like $5 a month. But that's another thing, right? So they got the subscription plan, which gives you like level 2 access and some other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the interest from uninvested capital, and then they make money from selling the order flow to these high frequency trading hedge funds. And basically what that means is for y'all listening is if you go and say you want to buy a certain amount of shares of say Apple,
Mm-hmm.
as you hit as you're arranging your order and you're getting ready to press, or you do press like execute or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that information is sold to an outside fund or broker, whoever they use, I'm not gonna say no names, but
Mm-hmm.
whoever it is, it's sold to them. They buy the shares and they sell them back to you in a matter of seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And they do this millions of times throughout the day.
Right, right.
So those are the three ways they make money.
Mm.
Um, it's controversial. I personally don't use Robinhood. I did when we started the stock group, I did because I knew other people would use it and it'd just be easier to kind of, relate.
Right.
I don't use Robinhood because I had many problems with exiting positions due to order flow, them selling your order
Right.
flow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I understand that's like the give and the take. I mean, they did that, so the bad part of that is they sell your order flow and
Right,
make
right.
a ton of money off of you in that
Mm-hmm.
sense, right? Um, and I forgot why I brought that up, but it was the same. It's like along the same lines of how they sell the information or sell something to middleman the situation,
Right.
pretty much, and that's how they make money,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I don't think a lot of people know that. I don't know if people even care, but oh, when I found it out, I felt like that was important to know. Like that. I feel like that's important. Like if
Right.
because you don't really notice it when you're buying. Well, you will because you'll buy something and it'll automatically be in the red
Mm-hmm.
because you overpaid because you had to pay somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you sell something, like it'll show like, oh, it's worth, say I bought for 100, it goes to 115. I want to sell. When I
Mm-hmm.
go to sell at 115, the price will just drop to like 111.
Mm-hmm.
And then so you exit and like, well, I'm not going to sell at 111. I'll wait. You exit and the value goes back up to 115.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, okay, let me try to sell it again. It goes back down to 111. So you would have to wait until it got to a certain point to be able to
Right.
sell at 115.
Right.
So it's
There's like a hedge they're gonna take off top.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they have to execute their trade and then get it back to you.
Mm-hmm. So they probably letting the algorithm just figure it out.
Yeah, it's a high frequency trading computer. Like these are supercomputers.
Yeah.
They can do that in seconds, like tenths of a second.
Man, the game is rigged. It's rigged. This is how the rich get richer.
It's rigged if it's free.
Yeah.
If it's free, it's rigged. I wouldn't say the rest of the game is, but if it's free, it's definitely rigged.
Yeah. There's a cost to learn, so there's always
Mm-hmm.
hidden costs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I'm happy to see like the influx of people getting involved. I just wish there was ways to just get people more education.
They even call retail investors.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
they
because
just
you're
they
paying
made that
retail.
term up.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because I feel like investments are the only things people will pay more for.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that weird? Like it's supposed to be like you pay less for your investments,
Mm-hmm.
but investments seem to be the only thing people will pay more for.
Well, I think when you buy an investment, people automatically think is an investment, so it's going to go up in value. That's the basis of
Mm-hmm.
anyone's like general knowledge of investing. You invest because if you buy it and then you hold on to it, it'll be worth more. That's it. So in that equation, it doesn't matter how much I bought it for because it's an investment. I buy
No,
this
but like
investment and then it goes up. It goes up because I invested. It goes up in value and then I
you
make
know what's
money.
funny? What's funny is like I want to laugh, but I can't because I know this is somebody's real train of thought.
No, and it's like it's not even like a diss. It's just like this is just general knowledge because
Yeah,
most people just keep things at the surface level
I
because it's
invested,
easy.
so that's
It's easy. Investment. Investment doesn't mean lose money. It means make money. That's what the word means. The problem is you don't have a dictionary, so you're not looking these things up. You don't know definitions. You don't know vocabulary.
I just don't. I don't understand it. I don't understand the whole. I don't.
It's
Any.
very simple. It's very
We
simple.
we've talked about
You
it. We've
making
talked
it
about it plenty of times.
too complex.
Yeah, we talked about it plenty of times. I don't need to go deep into it, but I just overpaying for things like that doesn't. I don't know. Like it just like I was telling you, I was looking at there's only a handful of companies that I bought recently or within the last like 18 months. There's only a handful of stocks that I bought,
Mm-hmm.
and Intel is one of them. And so I was looking at their chart from like the .com bubble in the 2000s, and they were like still a a substantial company, but not like what they are today, right? But the hype was
Right.
so crazy back then that I think it was in 2000. It might have been a little bit after that, but I think it was in 2000 that they were trading at like $75 a share. Okay, so then the .com bubble happens. Everything blows up. It goes down to like $5 or something, right? Um, and then today, I'm going through financials, not today, but just recently. Um, Looking at the chart from then to now, where the company's doing like in much better shape. Like the company's stable, they make a bunch of money, they have a bunch of just leftover cash. They're reinvesting, buying back shares, the whole nine. And do you know how much the stock price is today?
50 something.
$53.
Yeah.
So 20 years ago, it was, oh, I'm invested. It's going up. This pays $70 today because in 20 years, it's going to be worth more than $70.
Right. Diamond
And
hands.
then,
Hold on to it.
yeah, and then here we are 20 years later, and it's not worth $70. Well,
Still hasn't had
it's not, the stock price is a component of like the market cap. But I'm just saying, like, if you're looking at just that metric as your barometer,
that.
then that right there is a clear sign. Like, oh, 20 years ago it was $70. It's still not $70.
Right. Right.
As the company got better, think about that. It hasn't hit $70 since then,
Right.
and the company's gotten better.
Mm. Well, if you hold on to it for like another 20 years, it'll probably at least be 300 though. That's how investing works.
It might. You never know, because they're investing a bunch of money right now into some, back into the company. So I don't really know what they're developing, but they're spending a ton of money. So
Diamond
whatever
hands.
it is, then
What was your stock?
if they keep buying back shares like that, then yeah, it
This is
could,
not stock advice.
No, absolutely not. Um, but like I just bought Alibaba the other day. Um, P Minty, shout out P Minty. I was talking to him about it, and he was kind of filling me in on what happened. Like all the Chinese stocks kind of sold off because there was I think he said it was and I don't, I didn't verify this. So I don't want to make it seem like he's telling me wrong information or not. He just looked it up on the spot. But he said I think it was a company, like it was like Uber, like a Chinese Uber, and they tried to go public, and China was like no. Right. And then they like threatened to like ban the exchange of all Chinese businesses on like, on all the exchanges or whatever.
Right.
So all the Chinese stocks they just tanked.
Yeah.
And I got an alert for Alibaba on my phone that it hit like 180 something, like 183 or no 196. And I had already known, this is why it's important to do your homework. I had already known that I was comfortable buying below 200. Right. So the 52-week high is 319. It was down to 190.
Wow.
That's almost half.
Right.
Right. So I said, oh, I'm buying this. Right. So the alert came at the end of the day. So I put the order in, but it didn't get filled. So I just left it on market. Right.
Right.
Which is dumb and risky. But that basically means that it'll execute the order at whatever price when it opens up.
When it opens, right.
And so I did that, and I ended up getting filled at like 183.
Wow.
Right now, the price I really want to buy it at is like 160, 160 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And it got as low as 179.
Mm-hmm.
But I got filled at 183. But I brought that up because I knew, and it's China, they lie about their numbers. They've been caught lying about their numbers before.
Mm-hmm.
But just based on like the strength of the company, I knew below that number, that's where you buy. Now everyone else would say, "Oh, it's 319. It's never going to go down." Like, why would it go down 50%?
Right.
That never happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then here we are.
Yep. Yep.
Right. So it's, you got to be able to. This isn't the stock show, but I'm just bringing it up because seeing that Intel chart, it made me like really made me go back to think about that, of people overpaying for stuff and trying to justify it. Like, oh, I'll pay whatever now today, knowing that it'll be worth, just like watches. They do that with watches. Like with watches, man, people are paying $15,000 for a $6,000 watch.
Yeah, it's a lot of money in the market.
Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm rambling. I don't know. I did get to see a watch I like though. My favorite watch of the moment. I went to a car show at an AD, and it's the JLC. I can't pronounce the name, so JLC is the initials. I'm not gonna sound crazy.
Right.
But it's the Master Control calendar, and it was nice, man. It fit my arm perfect. Perfect. I'm gonna show you
where was that?
next time. I was in Walnut. So there's a guy, David Lee. He's like the biggest Rolex dealer in the country or something. And he puts on car shows every third Friday or something. No, every third Sunday,
right,
of the month. And I just went. Like, it was just random. I just went. And the Rolex, of course, the Rolex part of the store was completely empty. Shelves are empty.
Wow.
And he was saying that it's pretty much like that around the country. Or not the country, but the world. I'm sorry. They do have some stuff in the back. There are some things in the back. Like, if you're somebody,
you're that guy.
Yeah. But I went to the JLC display, and I got to hold it hands on and try it on, and I like it a lot. I like it a lot. And the steel version is only like 11,000. So compared to
when you putting that in the cart,
it's hard to do that. I won't lie. It is hard. It's hard to do that. Mainly because if I buy a Rolex for the same price, I know my money's good.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
It's like, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. What are we even talking about? I don't know.
Man, it's late.
Man, what do we even? This is, I don't know. So did you did you know that? Did you hear about Jay-Z and Will Smith?
No.
And their
I know Will came out with a book.
He got a movie too. He's playing Serena Williams' dad or something.
Yeah, I seen that.
Well, him and Jay-Z they don't have a company. A firm that manages their capital, I guess, invested in a company that provides like rent-to-own opportunities for people. So they allow them to report their renting history to like creditors to help build their credit so they can buy.
So what?
Like, yo, do we gotta shut this off? Is it?
We'll see you next week.
I said they report a person's rental history to creditors.
Okay.
To build up history so they can buy. So basically,
that's not nothing new though. That's Equifax or Experian Boost or one of them.
because there's other apps. I forgot. There's one of them called. It starts with a P, but they
Right.
report your. I forgot what it's called, but it's them. So it's gonna seem like, oh, this is they're doing it for whatever.
Yeah.
Um. So they're doing that now. They didn't do that specifically. They just happened to have money invested with a certain VC firm who made the investment. So of
That does that.
course, yeah. So then it comes out that they're doing this. Not the firm, but they're doing this.
So why
So
is it? I'll let you
mhm.
finish.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So why is that a benefit? I can think of
Well,
one negative thing of
okay,
why
go.
it's
I would like
not.
to hear that. Go ahead, because I want to see if we're on the same boat. But go ahead.
Well, the first thing I think about is when you purchase real estate.
Mm-hmm.
All you're doing is just filling up your debt to income with more debt. Because typically
Okay.
your rent is not counted. A lot of times they put their phone bill on your credit and all these different utilities, and which is why I would say like I think it's Experian Boost, one of them. I think it's a ridiculous thing to do because basically you're filling your credit report with debt.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say those things are typically not counted when you're buying real estate as debt, like your utilities, your rent. It's usually just the big things are your car payment, mortgage, credit payments, and that's it. But when you add utilities, your phone bill, your rent, those are more debts that you add to your credit report. So when you add more debts minus your minus your liabilities, you have like basically less. It makes your debt to income higher,
Mm-hmm.
and you're most likely not going to qualify to buy real estate.
Yeah.
I've dealt with a client who did that. It was like, yeah, I did the Experian Boost, and it's like, yeah, it really helped my credit score go up. But now you don't qualify because you're showing extra debt on your credit report. Then now it has to be accounted for in your debt to income when qualifying for your loan purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, okay, let's say a quick example. If your regular credit report has, I don't know, 5,000 in debt a month, and now you added all these additional things, and now it's 10,000. Well, you just doubled your debt, and now
Yeah.
you don't qualify.
I
That's the
didn't think
first thing I
about
think
that.
about.
Yeah, I didn't think about it from that aspect. So that's interesting because I didn't even start there.
Mm-hmm.
My first thing was um more institutional owners,
More institutional owners. What you mean?
more large firms that are going to own single family homes to rent them
Mhm.
out to people with
Like
the hope
good rental
of,
credit, basically.
yeah, because they're going to buy the home they're renting. So you know what I'm
Um,
saying. So it's like they can come in, they can buy a large portfolio of homes like
mm.
Blackstone, or who I think Blackstone is involved low key, but I
Which
can't
they've
remember.
been doing that.
Yeah. So
I don't know. We talked about it on here, but there was a developer in Texas who built. I think it was either 200 new home builds, single family homes, and sold them all to a private investor as rental income. He bought them like they were like basically like an apartment with the single family homes and rented all of them. We're gonna have like a nation of renters pretty soon. What's the benefit of why do people want good credit anyway? It's only like a few things you can do with
because
credit.
you can turn your credit into cash.
Then go into debt. It's only a
You
few
can
things you
you can
want.
buy things on your credit card and then return it, but use your debit card for the return.
Use other people's
No,
money.
hold
It's
on. You
all
got
about
pose. You got
OPM.
pose like this. Everybody who pose like this is gonna steal your money. All right. You got when you talking like that, you got pose like this. Like
Right. It's all about OPM. Other people's money. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get the fascination with good
well, I
credit.
mean, it's. I'm not gonna say it's useless. There's definitely benefits. It's just
But the benefits are so small. It's I won't say they're small.
not
Okay.
really because it's
But
all it's about leverage and have if you don't have certain resources, credit allows you to leverage. It gives you leverage that you would
I
normally
think like
have if you had the money.
99% of people don't need to leverage. We just talked about people who
That's a
think
lot of people.
investing is you invest and you make more money. for the 99% of like the regular type person, you don't need to leverage. You don't need to think about leveraging because that's only going to get you caught up with a big ass bill that you can't pay. Especially for the person who has, okay, you after you paid all your bills and you got $100 left over, you got $500 left over. Why do you have a $10,000 credit card? When you run that bill up, how could you ever pay it off?
So you can invest in Bitcoin.
How are you leveraging? Like leveraging and the debt game is for people who make um, large windfalls of money where they can service the debt easier and push their investments forward. But for
Or they're
everyday
just savvy
person,
enough. But even being savvy enough can put you in a bad
still
spot
you
because
still can mess up.
things can happen. Yeah, anything can happen.
You basically want good credit to get better interest rate on a car loan, your mortgage. But even in mortgage, like I mean, you can be FHA and still get a mortgage loan for credit score of 580. The interest rates are not going to be completely different. I mean, it'll probably be like I don't know between a 0.5% difference, maybe 1%. I mean, it's so little to
I
load
don't
up
know.
your account with your rent payment just so you can get a bump to 680.
I mean,
It's
as
about
as a
bragging. People
consumer,
want to brag. People
well
want to brag on their
now,
credit
yeah,
score.
now they do now they do
They
because
want to flex it.
the companies make it to where it's shareable. Like
Yeah,
you can go to a Credit Karma or whoever
yeah.
and they take a screenshot or share your credit score, so it becomes a thing. But
Now, why is that?
I don't know because no lender is gonna look at your Credit Karma score.
From your Facebook page?
Like I'm just saying like that doesn't you don't go like you're not gonna get approved based on your Credit Karma score.
Right. No, no. It's well, for one, they
Like,
use a whole different algorithm. It's what is it? Hey, what's it called?
the newest one ain't it like
Uh,
FICO 8 or something?
they don't use that one though. That's what most lenders are going to use. But they have several different FICO algorithms, and
Mm,
so it's based on if that lender has a new FICO 8. Let's say a lender has an
mm.
old system, they're running 7 or 6 or whatever. They still want to use 8. Um, what is it called? Anyway, the algorithm that they use, like on Credit Karma, all these different free apps you can get to see your score, is never the same algorithm that the credit card company is going to use. Most likely, because they have like FICO 8 credit,
Mm-hmm.
a lender, mortgage lender. They don't even use it, so it's basically a useless number that you can just feel good about yourself. Where you see often, if you look at your Credit Karma score or whatever score from these free sites, you'll go to get a car and it's completely different. Or you go to a
Mm-hmm.
mortgage company and it's completely different.
Yep.
And they're like, why is it different? Well, my Credit Karma, that's a trash score. The Credit Karma only gives you that so they can sell you product. That's why
Mm-hmm.
you always get these different pop-ups of what type of credit card you can get. It's a marketing platform to market to you what credit card now that you qualify for based on your trash score. And people just want to share it on Facebook and just start.
You know what, man? I do whatever you gotta do to make you happy. Like I don't really care about that kind of stuff. Like if doing that makes you feel good, then do it. The only time I have problems is when people do that and then try to like shit on other people or stun on people.
That's what it's for.
You know what I'm saying? Because then it's like, well, okay, you're stunting with something that's useless. Like go ahead and go to the bank and try to get a home loan and just show them that screenshot and see what they say.
Yeah,
And
they don't
they
care.
pull your score up and it says 650.
Hmm.
And you're like, but wait a minute, Credit Karma said it's 800.
Yeah.
How you gonna have an 800 credit score in 6 months?
Hmm. Yeah, it's just it don't make sense. It
In
don't make
six
sense.
months, I was a 580 3 weeks ago, but then I called Dr. Mr. Credit Man. And now I'm an 860.
Right.
I'm an 860. I got amazing credit. Okay. The 8 and the 6 gonna be backwards when you try to go apply for something. Like at the end of the day, from my understanding, I'm not a credit expert. I don't pretend to be. From my understanding of credit, history is one of the biggest important factors in your score.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way, unless you're borrowing someone else's history, which is likely. People are doing that. They're selling, authorized user lines and all that. But even the banks understand how to score you based on that.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
they got hip to that too.
Yeah.
And
So
a lot of times authorized user doesn't carry the same weight it used to. But
no,
yeah,
because they knew that was something when we were coming up. That was something that was huge,
yeah,
right? It was have your put your kids on the credit cards, and they're 18 years old and got 40 years of credit history,
yeah.
right? And so, like you said, they got hip to it, and now they certain lenders based on their scoring model, like you mentioned, will
Mm-hmm.
allow it, but for the most part, it doesn't mean anything. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's cute.
Yep, your history and your own payments, they add up to about 65% of your score. One of them is either 30 and the other one's 35. So
Hmm.
that's more than half. So if you just keep a credit card open and pay it on time, that's going to account for 65% of your score. Then the other ones are like different types of credit, which is like 10%. And the different types of credit, and that's 10, that's 75. Where's the other?
You're
Um,
doing too much math. Like
yeah, I know.
it's too much math that
Yeah, it's
going
too
on.
late. That's too much.
I
But
mean,
I usually tell people, really all you need is three trade lines, and I usually say just three credit cards, and it doesn't matter what the balances are, or what not so much not the balances, but the um the limit.
hmm
You just keep them cards for years after years, pay them off, and you'll be okay. And I always say credit cards because credit cards typically don't close. If you get a car loan, you'll usually pay it off. You pay it off in 5 years, all that history is gone. A mortgage would be nice. It's usually there 30 years. Personal loans, still you pay them off. So usually three credit cards would be good. That's all you need.
you know what? Speaking of getting hip to things, right? And we could probably wrap this up. But getting hip to things. So I was reading an article earlier, actually the other day. I read it the other day, but it came up again today. About the government is now basically, I don't want to say talking over, because they're trying to make a push for creating a central bank digital dollar.
Mm.
So I think it's called CBDC, central bank digital currency.
Sound like drugs.
Yeah. So, and the funny thing is the article that I read, they quoted someone who's I forgot her position, but she's at the Fed, right? She's at the Federal Reserve, and she said, "I can't wrap my mind around like us not doing this." Now,
Mm-hmm.
we've talked many a times about cryptocurrency here on the show, um, and just in life. And our thing has always been like, well, why, if anybody can make one, why wouldn't the government just ban all of them and make
Yeah,
their own?
yeah.
Right.
It was so
And
easy.
it seems to be that that's what's happening. So that they have a conference or something like on
Mm-hmm.
Thursday at 10 a.m. I'll send you the link.
Mm.
Where they're going to be talking about that.
Wow.
It's on the
Yeah,
Federal Reserve calendar.
we talked about that. It was like,
And
what stops the government just saying, okay, we'll make our own product, make our
yeah,
own
and
coin,
and
government
and
coin.
it's funny because like me and Pimenti was talking about it, and I was like, this is the stuff that ruins people's lives, right? Because these guys aren't even smart enough to pull this off. But if they do it, they're gonna dump so much money into it to where because the money's gonna come from taxpayers,
Right.
pensions, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna dump so much money in there that when something bad does happen, people's lives are gonna be ruined.
Right.
Because these are just old guys who just sit around like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this.
Mm.
They're not engineers, they're not coders, nothing.
Yeah. Ruined in what way?
Like ruined kind of like I don't want to say that because then I don't want to make it seem like that's going to be a crash, but kind of like the housing market. How everybody's pensions and 401ks were full of like government housing bonds and whatnot.
Right.
Like, oh, because this is bulletproof, and then they found out the bonds weren't shit, and now
Right.
now your portfolio is worth nothing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You went from having a retirement over $1 million to $10,000 or
Right. Right.
zero, right? Because it was all mortgage bonds. Um, and that still happens with commercial mortgage bonds, but you know, something like that to where they try to because they have no other way to get the money. It's going to have to come from a source like that. So it's the government. The government doesn't make money. They just take it and guarantee it.
Just make it up.
So
say we've never failed. We haven't failed so far. So trust us.
yeah, it was funny though. I thought that was hilarious when I read that. Just seeing how excited they were to roll out something like that after years of them talking about how trash Bitcoin is and crypto is. And I was like, well, I can't see how we don't do this.
Give me some government coin.
Yeah.
Give
So
me
there's
some Tubman coins.
If you go on the Federal Reserve calendar, you can Google that. You can Google the Federal Reserve calendar, and I believe it's Thursday. They have it blocked off like this is what we're talking about.
That'd be interesting to check out
at 10 a.m. So I'm gonna watch it. Do you think we could have Patreon live by then?
Possible.
Because I feel like that could be something we watch together in the Patreon.
Yeah.
Because the website is done. Low key, website is done. Only thing we were waiting on, moment of transparency. Only thing we were waiting on was I was waiting on a very specific type of T-shirt for our merch, and I think I found it. So it's not. It won't be this one. This is different. It'll look like this, but it'll just be a different shirt.
You talking about the material?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It'll be ring spun cotton. So I can't even remember all of them right now, but there's ring spun. There's some other kind of there's like 4 or 5 different processes, and I personally like ring spun the best.
And why that?
Just the fit. You know what I mean? Like especially now that we're older, but just the fit. Like it's more breathable. It's lighter. You know what I mean? So it's not like a heavy T-shirt. It's casual, but not like too casual.
Right.
It looks nice and they feel nice. They're soft, and I like the collar. Like that the collars are a little more like, they don't get drunk. It feels more quality. It just feels more quality. So I like those a lot, and I found one that I'm gonna do a test run to make sure. But the T-shirts will be live for pre-order soon. Soon. So T-shirts. We'll have hoodies later on, but right now it'll just be the T-shirts. But the website is done, so we'll let everybody know once it's launched. The Patreon is coming. I'll figure that out this week. Yeah. richbymonday.com.
Yeah.
So
episode 17.
Make sure you guys go like and comment and subscribe. It's been a week since y'all heard from us. We had a lot of just life in the way. And I ain't gonna lie, I feel a little rusty coming back after a week, but I think we did all right. So
yeah, I think it's fine.
I think it's
It'll
fine.
Be fine.
So yeah, anything else you want to add, man?
Nope. Come back next week. Next time we post. And the week after that. And I'm going to sleep. I took a Benadryl earlier. My allergies
you be setting yourself up for failure. That was what I took
Pop,
I took a sleepy pill before
pop the
I had
beanie,
something to do.
pop the beanie. Man, I was sniffing like crazy. They would have thought I was on coke.
Are we back at
Sniffing,
drugs
sniffing,
now?
sniffing.
We back at the drug episode. Yeah. So like, comment, and
Yeah.
subscribe. Offer Doran some solutions outside of the sleepy pills so we can do shows
Hey, give
in
me
the
some.
comments. And see y'all next week.
All right, later.